Hello and welcome back. Before we get started today, I just want to remind you to subscribe and hit that notification button if you want to know when I post new videos. If you followed me here or on TikTok for any amount of time, you probably already know that I love young adult fiction. You might also know that I recently started reading a bunch of manga and really getting into manga and anime as a whole. So today I thought we would collide those two worlds. I'm going to show you some of my favorite manga I've read so far, and keep in mind that every single one of the manga I'm going to show you is also excellent if you like young adult stories. We like videos with layers here at my channel. And I do want to mention that I think every single one of the manga I'm going to show you today is a great entry point, whether you're getting into a new series or you've never read manga before in your entire life. Let's get started. So first up, I want to mention Hat Atelier. If you like a little bit of magic in your young adult story, I think Hat Atelier is definitely for you. This is a story about a young girl in a magical world who sort of accidentally stumbles onto magic, and when she accidentally performs a spell incorrectly, her mother is like locked in stone. She then has to join with a group of magic users in order to learn how to use magic. Magic in this book is really cool. All of it is drawn, so they actually use an ink pen of some kind to draw these sigils and then close it off with a circle in order to do the spell. Whether it's a visual story or a novel, I love fantasy with really strict rules on the magic, and this book definitely does it. Next up is a manga you've probably heard of because it's been around for forever and it's been an anime, and it's actually been multiple anime, which is Fullmetal Alchemist. So Fullmetal Alchemist is essentially a story of two brothers who are trying to bring their mom back from the dead, so they decide to use alchemy to do it. And of course, bringing people back from the dead is pretty much illegal, and what ends up happening is one of the brothers loses his body entirely and has to have his soul bound to a big suit of armor. The other brother, who's actually the main character, loses his arm and leg and has to have those replaced with metal as well. This starts the brothers off on a journey to find the best kind of magic to basically restore their bodies, which to them means involving a philosopher's stone. Again, what I like here is that there are very strict rules on the magic. I also think the characters are really super memorable, and the story has a very fun, almost like steampunk fantasy style to it. If you like young adult or even young reader stories about a young boy going off on a grand adventure, think Harry Potter or Percy Jackson, I think you're really gonna like Fullmetal Alchemist. But perhaps cute high school drama is your jam, in which case I would like to present Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is the story of pretty much the nicest young girl you'll ever meet in your life. After her mother dies and her family essentially kicks her out, she's living in the woods when this family finds her and welcomes them into her home. That would be great, except that the family has a big secret. Every member of the family is connected to an animal in the Chinese zodiac, and if they are hugged by a member of the opposite sex, they turn into that animal. By the way, this is all taking place in a modern day normal world, so that would be pretty weird if you were at high school, hugged a boy, and he turned into a rat. Which happens in this book. What I love about Fruits Basket is that while it has a really interesting story, really interesting concept, it also is just full of positivity. Toru, the main character, is one of the most positive, uplifting, happy characters I've ever read. And being that she's gone through so much trauma and lost so much, that's pretty incredible. She's the kind of character who always puts one foot in front of the other, always thinks on the positive side, and always sees the best in every person and situation. This is an incredibly heartwarming story with a lot of fun and memorable characters. Let's stay on the slice of life train for a little bit and talk about Silver Spoon. So Silver Spoon is actually by the same author as Fullmetal Alchemist, but the story could not be more different. This is the story of Hachiken, a young boy who, when he goes to high school, has no idea what he wants to do with his life. All he knows is that he wants to be as far away from home as possible. So he ends up at a school for agriculture, horticulture, and animal husbandry. That means that this boy who has no knowledge of anything to do with animals or crops now has to learn all about them. But what's awesome about this is that as the reader, you also get to learn things about all these animals and crops and animal husbandry and farming. Every chapter I stepped away thinking, wow, I just learned something. And I think that's really amazing. But all of that aside, I think it's a really relatable story, especially for young people, young adults, because it does have to do with something that a lot of young adults and even adults go through, of not knowing what you want to do with your life. And the writer expertly uses these animal situations to kind of teach little life lessons about, how we get trod down by society. Why do we stop trying to achieve things? Why do we just give up? And if you are a nerd like me, if you're into things like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing or Harvest Moon, I think you're really gonna like this book. Finally, I wanna mention one you may have heard of because it's extremely popular, because it has an anime that you can watch, as well as a manga that's been running for a while, which is Haikyuu. This is the story of a high school volleyball team. That's it. But here's the thing, Japan and manga and anime have really mastered the art of the sports story. I know nothing about volleyball, and even so, I found myself so invested in these characters. I also felt like I was learning a lot about volleyball. Now, if it's real information about volleyball or not, I have no idea. But I felt really, really into what I was reading and what was going on the court. Because ultimately, if you strip away the sports, this is a story about people trying to achieve something great. Hinata, the main character in particular, is incredibly short for a volleyball player, but he really believes that if he he sets his mind to it and works his butt off, that he can achieve greatness. And that is so incredibly inspiring. In fact, I would go so far as to say that many mangas and animes share that trait of hard work and dedication leads to greatness. And that is a kind of positivity that I want more of in my life. Hinata's struggle to be the best despite crazy odds against him actually brought some tears to my eyes at one point. That's how inspired I was by his story. I think getting back into manga has been really fun to me because pretty much all the stories I've been reading are really inspiring, really soulful, and really relatable. Even the ones about magic and crazy action have something really relatable and really inspiring about them, and I think that's awesome. So I already have a big pile more of manga that I'm going to be reading and probably talking about on the channel, but do you have something that you recommend? Do you see one in this pile that you already love and want to talk about? Please leave a comment and let me know. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.